Jared Cannonier versus Kelvin Gastelum takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 34, Cannonier versus Gastelum, and I can't wait for this middleweight main event. Two top 10 middleweight contenders. Number 3 in the world, Jared Cannonier, takes on number 9 in the world, Kelvin Gastelum. Not a usual mix-up of ranking spots that you would usually have in the main event of a fight night. However, of course, Paulo Costa was originally supposed to be taking on Jared Cannonier. That means that Kelvin Gastelum needs to step in. I can't wait for Kelvin Gastelum to lose this one and then turn right back around and take on Marvin Vettori on short notice, because he has made quite a habit of taking Paulo Costa's fights whenever Paulo Costa pulls out. Either way, Kelvin Gastelum put himself in a great position again. I think he's at the point of his career right now where he's thinking to himself, listen, I'm not willing to risk going out there against an Andre Muniz or a dangerous up-and-coming contender and losing to him and then losing all my power whatsoever in the middleweight division. I would rather lose, if I'm going to a top contender, so at least that way I don't fall too far down the rankings whenever I do lose. But right now, Kelvin Gastelum, number 9 in the middleweight division, not doing too good recently for himself. He's 1-4 in his last 5 fights. And that's crazy to say for Kelvin Gastelum, because he's not even like past his prime. He's still a young guy in the division. He's never lost more than 1 fight in a row his entire career, I feel like, in the UFC. I'm just going to check that right now. No, he has never lost more than 1 fight in a row in his entire UFC career. And now he's 1-4 in his last 5, and it's not looking too good. Now, you could also say that maybe as a response to that, he's taking on the best competition he's ever taken on in his career, and he has had some close fights with Israel Adesanya, with Darren Till. But the Jack Hermansson loss, which, by the way, I predicted by first round submission, I'll take it, was really bad. He got immediately submitted by Jack Hermansson. Not too shabby though, got back in there, went in there against Ian Heinisch, got a decent win there. Pretty clear victory, but still a very close and competitive fight. Does that look good in hindsight? Not really. Ian Heinisch just got beaten up by Nassourdine Imavov, another hungry up-and-comer in the division. Doesn't look the best for Kelvin Gastelum there, but it was a good win. Goes in there, takes on Robert Whittaker on short notice, and I think this was the worst one out of all of his losses. Don't get me wrong. The Hermansson loss was immediate and sudden, but he got caught in a bad position immediately into the fight after throwing Jack Hermansson onto the ground and trying to reverse position, and just got a little bit lazy. The Darren Till fight, razor close bout. He lost by split decision because Till landed more effective strikes. Then you go into the Israel Adesanya fight. Had a great showing for himself against Israel Adesanya, the now middleweight champion, and he did very well in that fight. Won 2 of the rounds, almost hurt and finished Israel Adesanya multiple times, except at one point where he hurt Israel Adesanya so badly to where Adesanya could barely even stand on his feet. So Kelvin thought, you know what, you're having trouble standing on your feet, I'm just going to shoot a takedown on you right now and help you out a little bit because you clearly can't stand. I would finish you on the feet right now, but no, I'm going to try and take you down and ruin my chances of winning a belt. Either way, I think the Whittaker fight was the worst one yet, because Robert Whittaker went out there against Kelvin Gastelum and just absolutely really badly exposed him as maybe not being on the levels that the rest of these middleweights are, at least the levels that Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker are on right now, because Robert Whittaker danced around Kelvin Gastelum for 5 straight rounds. No round was close. It wasn't even like Kelvin had a moment of success. There'd be one moment where Kelvin landed a punch, and that would be the big moment for Kelvin. He landed a punch, everyone. Go crazy. Whittaker straight up tuned him up for 5 straight rounds. If you want to put it into perspective, Israel Adesanya landed 109 significant strikes on Kelvin Gastelum to 91 of Kelvin Gastelum's, okay? 109, 64% of those were to the head. Then you go into the Robert Whittaker fight. Robert Whittaker landed 150 significant strikes to the 62 of Kelvin Gastelum, and 80% of those, 76% of those, were to the head. Gastelum has taken a lot of damage recently. He's turning right back around to get back in there against a top contender so he doesn't lose anything if he loses. I just think Jared Cannonier is actually one of the middleweights, even though he doesn't have the best of resumes right now because he beat Anderson Silva, David Branch. Those guys are no longer in the division. His only real good win in the division right now is against Jack Hermansson. But I would say that another great performance on Cannonier's record is the Robert Whittaker fight. He did amazingly good against Robert Whittaker. I thought Whittaker was going to easily tune him up and finish him in the later rounds by third round head kick or something like that. Almost happened, by the way. Very almost happened. But it didn't happen. But Jared Cannonier showed how tough he was, even came back at one point in the third round, broke his arm, I believe, at the end of the second round, and was making some close rounds out of the first two. I thought Whittaker was winning those rounds, but listen, there's arguments to say that Jared Cannonier can sneak one of those rounds, and the judges thought so as well. It was a close fight. Whittaker clearly got the win, don't get me wrong. However, Cannonier showed that against Robert Whittaker, he can be extremely competitive, make an extremely close fight, put Whittaker in danger as well in the third round. I think Jared Cannonier showed how tough he was as well with that broken arm in the second round, still going out there in the third and doing what he needed to do. And I just think he's going to beat Kelvin Gastelum. I think that's what I'm going to go with here. I'm going to go with Jared Cannonier getting a TKO on Kelvin Gastelum, maybe even a KO, in all honesty. Maybe he puts him out cold. I don't like this matchup for Kelvin, okay? He's got it really up against him here, okay? He's not the biggest welterweight in general. He's taking on a former heavyweight coming down to the middleweight division. A huge man for the middleweight division. Don't get me wrong, Jared Cannonier is nothing like a weight bully or anything like that, but he is not a small middleweight by any means, and he's not a small middleweight range-wise either. When you look at the reach of Jared Cannonier compared to Kelvin Gastelum, he's got a 77-inch reach compared to the 71-inch reach of Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum is all torso. That's all he is. He is a giant rectangle wedge mini fridge of a man, and that's all he is. Just all torso Kelvin Gastelum waddling around like an absolute mini fridge towards his opponents. Jared Cannonier's got a massive reach advantage over him, which is going to be handy. However, Kelvin can close the distance. He did it against Israel Adesanya before. I just don't think we're going to see that version of Kelvin anymore because he seems a little bit more flat-footed. He seems to not have quite the reaction time that maybe he once did to certain shots. I remember a Kelvin who would go in there, slip a couple of shots, show some great head movement, find his way on the inside, catch you with a close range hook. It just doesn't seem like Kelvin has the skill anymore or the reaction time. And I think it's kind of been beaten out of him. I don't know though. It might have been beaten out of him in all honesty. You start getting hit in the head, you get dropped 4 times against Israel Adesanya, you get really badly beaten up by Robert Whittaker. All of a sudden, you're not doing mental math as quickly anymore, you know what I mean? You're not completing the Sudoku as quick as maybe you once used to, once you take those punches to the head so much. Either way, I'm going to go with Jared Cannonier here. One thing I think he can exploit massively as well, other than a reach advantage, is the fact that he has really, really amazing leg kicks. I think that's a really good thing that he could use here against Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin has shown a susceptibility to leg kicks before. We've seen other opponents use them on him. Whittaker was using them on him a couple of times. Israel Adesanya was using them on him as well. But Adesanya's leg kicks, I feel like, have gotten way better since the Gastelum fight and the Whittaker fight even as well. Really showed them off against Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, other fights like that. I just feel like Jared Cannonier, the leg kicks that he showed me against Robert Whittaker, the strong, hard leg kicks that were perfectly placed and chewing up Whittaker's legs are built differently. There's even a clip on The Ultimate Fighter Season 28 where Dana White is watching Kelvin Gastelum and Robert Whittaker run around the track, and Dana's like, oh my god, this guy's fucking legs. I don't know why he was saying that about Whittaker, a very strange motive in all honesty. However, Whittaker's legs are fucking huge. He's got weird bone density in his hips, in his shins, in his thighs, and he can take those leg kicks. Kelvin, as I said before, is a mini fridge. He's a Mexican mini fridge. That's all he is. And he's got little legs, little stumpy legs that don't have much meat on them whatsoever, little stumpy arms. I can see Jared Cannonier chewing up his legs really badly. And I'm not saying that Kelvin's going to get KO'd because his chin's not good anymore. Kelvin's chin is really good. I just think Cannonier's going to chew up his legs so badly that Kelvin's going to have no support structure whatsoever to deal with those shots coming his way with the power of Jared Cannonier. I think Kelvin needs to be setting his stance, ready to take the shots and bracing himself for them as well to show how great his chin really is. I think he's going to catch himself trying to get points back against Jared Cannonier, being behind, being a bit more aggressive because he doesn't want to lose again, because if he loses this one, it's literally one more chance and you're gone most likely, and it's probably by moving down to the welterweight division again, by the way. I think Jared Cannonier is going to chew up his legs. Kelvin's going to be very frustrated by this in the first round. Legs feeling a bit destroyed, can't find his range. Cannonier sticking a jab out there, landing a couple of big shots, but Kelvin eats them okay. Then Jared's going to start chewing at the legs again in the second round. Second second round, Kelvin's going to try and make a difference. Things aren't going to be going his way again. He's going to make a decision. Right, I'm getting my legs destroyed. At the end of the second round, I need this round. Otherwise, I need to win every one of the last rounds. And my legs aren't feeling too good because Cannonier is chewing them up with his calf kicks and leg kicks. Then I believe he's going to try and win the second round for himself. At the end of the second round, he's going to rush forward against Jared Cannonier, not with his legs under him in a correct fashion, let's just say, because of how destroyed they are. And I think he's going to get caught with like a big right-hand counter as Kelvin overextends with a leaping hook or something like that. And I think he's going to fold in the second round and get TKO'd. I know I always pick Kelvin to lose by TKO. I don't know why I do it. I said Whittaker was going to get a head kick. I don't remember what else. I think I said Darren Till was going to get a TKO over him. I'll take the credit for picking Darren Till to win, but I thought he was going to get a TKO. I just think Kelvin's so open to shots that his chin just saves him. I don't think his chin will save him against Jared Cannonier. This is a different level of power at middleweight. In my opinion, now that Romero's gone at least, this is probably the hardest hitting middleweight we have. Jared Cannonier. I think he's going to catch Kelvin on the chin. I'm rooting for Kelvin. I really feel bad for him, and I hope that he does win, because he's also the younger guy by far. That needs to be mentioned as well, by the way. It's just, it doesn't look good for him in any way. 6-inch reach disadvantage. Pace-wise, if you think Kelvin's going to come on strong in the later rounds, Cannonier showed great cardio against Whittaker, even whilst losing that fight, having an eye swollen up, having a broken arm. He was pushing the pace in the third round, trying to get a finish on Robert Whittaker. He's shown great cardio throughout his career, even against Dejan Kutalaba as well in the light heavyweight division. Kutalaba, a guy who's known to slow down, but Cannonier was literally walking him down with his arms by his side because he had that much energy left in the third round, just piecing up Dejan Kutalaba, and Kutalaba was completely gassed out. Cannonier has shown that he can have great cardio in these fights. He's shown great leg kicks against Anderson Silva as well, finishing him with leg kicks in the first round, I believe it was. Great pacing, higher pacing than Kelvin Gastelum, 3.7 to 3.52. Accuracy. Jared Cannonier is at 52%. Kelvin Gastelum is at 42%. But I want to mention something. I believe Kelvin Gastelum had something like, and I've been predicting for a while, so I'm just going off memory here, you're going to have to trust me. I believe Kelvin Gastelum had something like a 56-7% accuracy ratio when he was first coming up in the middleweight division, and he was doing real good against certain opponents like the Tim Kennedys of the world and the Vitor Belforts. It was like he couldn't miss. Constant combinations, combination finishes on Vitor Belfort. His accuracy was at an all-time high. Recently, it's really started diving downwards. Is that because he's taking on tougher competition? Maybe. Is it because maybe Kelvin's a little bit burned out? Who knows? You've also got the fact that Kelvin absorbs way more strikes, or a little bit more strikes than Jared Cannonier per minute. He also doesn't have as good a defense as Jared Cannonier, and he's got a reach disadvantage as well. Not having the defense advantage whilst being at a reach disadvantage is not going to be the best for you. It's already harder for you to land shots and get out the way of shots. Yeah, I don't see him being able to take down Jared Cannonier in any way. I don't see him winning the grappling exchange. I think Cannonier is going to really badly hurt him, and I feel bad for saying that. But that's just how it is, I guess. Unfortunate for Kelvin Gastelum. And also, I want to mention this. Little wild card section of the prediction video here. Just if you're looking for a bit of spice, just to say, like, okay, I hear all the evidence that you're telling me right now, Guru. I hear the evidence. You're giving me some good points. But what's the extra flair on top? What's the wild card of the prediction? How do I sprinkle this on? Sean Strickland came out of nowhere. Kelvin's a fucking lazy fuck, I've noticed. He just wanders around different countries taking pictures, never in the training room. Just randomly. It's not like him and Kelvin have any beef in any way whatsoever. They actually are pretty good friends. They've trained with each other before. They used to be sparring partners. Sean Strickland used to do a lot of sparring down at King's MMA. He's trained with Marvin Vettori there as well, another UFC middleweight. And he just randomly said out of nowhere on a James Lynch interview once, fucking Kelvin, he's fucking lazy cunt. Honestly, he's a lazy guy, never in the gym, never training, always in random countries, taking pictures of everything, just posting on his Instagram. I'm taking that as a little bit of a warning sign that maybe has something to do with the fact that Kelvin's lost fucking 4 out of his last 5 from previously not losing at all. I also question the fucking decision making of taking this fight. Even though he's had a bit of a longer camp than a short notice one, Cannonier's been in camp for longer. He hasn't taken damage recently. He's taken some time off. I know he's the older guy, and that is going to be a factor here, but it's not like he's in a position right now where it's like, oh, I'm just going to keep going for a paycheck, never going to get my title shot. Cannonier is a fresh opponent for Israel Adesanya. If Cannonier beats Kelvin Gastelum, he's going to be next for the winner of the Brunson versus Darren Till fight, which is only a couple of weekends afterwards. The winner of that one's going to be fighting Israel Adesanya in the midway point of next year, I would assume. It's not like there's no road back to the belt for Jared Cannonier or Kelvin Gastelum, in all fairness. But for Jared Cannonier as an older guy, this is like the most motivated Jared Cannonier you're going to get. I know he was on a chance of getting a title shot when he beat Whittaker, if he was going to beat Whittaker anyway. But right now, it's not like all hope is lost for him. He's still got motivation. He knows if he wins a fight, he's in title elimination bout talks. And that's how it works in the middleweight division, because Israel Adesanya is emptying it out. And he's had a lot of rematches, and he's beaten a lot of current opponents. Let's say Vettori beats Costa, and Brunson beats Darren Till, and then Cannonier beats Kelvin. Cannonier's the only guy that Adesanya hasn't fought yet that's fresh for a title shot. He could get it off one win. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Jared Cannonier, TKO in the end of the second round. Right hand counter. Goodbye.